Sexy for this world, too sexy for your
What's
girl,
happening?
too
You turn this
sexy
down a
for
little
this world, too sexy for this ice, too sexy for this jack. Yeah, yeah. I'm too sexy for this chain, too sexy for your game, too sexy for this fame.
Man, look, yo, we gonna have a nice little podcast for y'all today, man. We got something. Oh, damn, that's too loud. Shit. I thought I was gonna put this on Facebook, but I'm doing all this cursing. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it. But we're gonna have us a good time today. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some. We don't want to end broadcast. Where's my phone at? I'll turn that down. We're gonna fade Drake out. Because, sometimes I be feeling too sexy to podcast. That's a lot. So, man, look, today we had a show planned. It didn't work out. I think we're definitely going to try to reschedule it because I think it's an important show to have. I want to have some women on so that we can talk about the abortion law in Texas. Kind of get into what's true, what's not true, what we can expect, and then kind of the direction that you all in Texas need to go. If you've been following this podcast, you kind of know my direction or how I feel about it. Your body, your choice. So do what you want. And I can agree with somebody who wants to have an abortion. I can also agree with somebody who thinks it's wrong. I will say, hey, look, do what works for you, because honestly, I don't care what you do, and I don't understand the people who actually care what you do. But they were going to come on and they were going to talk about, get into some of the more intricate things about that, because that's not my strong point. But I think it's an important thing to talk about. I don't ever want to run from a topic because I'm not the smartest person on it. I'd rather bring somebody on so that they can educate me and I can become smart about it. But what I think I might do is I might feature the abortion episode that I did a while back. But man, look, we're 2.5 minutes in and I'm kind of boring right now. So hey, it's the baby. And I'm back. And I think this will be episode 142. I think this is going to be episode 142. I don't think we're going to take this one to Spotify. Not Spotify. Jesus Christ. I don't think we're going to take this one to a Patreon exclusive unless I get a little bit too crazy. And I don't see that happening this evening. So, man, look. One of the reasons why I'm podding today is because I wanted to talk about some other things on the pod, along with the abortion bill. But then, scheduling things happen. We end up rescheduling, and it's like, man, my wheels are already turning on this stuff. So I need to talk about it because, the next show that I record is going to be a football show. And the crazy thing is that I'm like recording this and talking to y'all, but the next show is actually going to come out before this one, I think. That was disgusting. Yeah, because this show's not going to come out until like the top of the week of next week. But anyways, who cares? So, do you love it or do you do it, right? So often in life we find ourselves doing things because we do it. We do it because it makes sense. We do it because it pays bills. We do it because it's familiar. We do it because it's what we're used to doing. But are we doing it because we love it, or are we doing it because we do it? And I understand that in a world where you have to pay rent every month, a world where you have, financial obligations, you can't always do what you love because that's not always the most easiest thing to monetize, especially when you're trying to maintain a certain lifestyle. But what happens when you get to that place in life where it doesn't matter anymore if you're doing something that you love or you're doing something that you have to do, right? It no longer matters because you've set yourself up to be financially stable, right? You've set up you've acquired enough funds. You set up multiple streams of income so that once, the bills are due, you're okay. Now, I do understand there is a group of people out here who will say, well, like, it shouldn't matter. You should, like, embrace the struggle and do what you love. And if that works for them, that works for them. But some of us want some consistency in our lifestyle. So we don't necessarily do what we love. We do what makes sense for us in that season. And that takes me to Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka, great tennis player. She's 23 and she's been very successful on the women's tour. And recently, after she suffered defeat in the women's U.S. Open, she said she's not going to be playing for a while, and she doesn't know when she'll be returning. And when I initially saw this, I go, so damn, every time you lose, you just gonna walk away. She had the Wimbledon thing where the media was getting to her. Now actually playing tennis is getting to her. And again, these are my initial thoughts. Like, well, darn, part of competition is losing, right? Like, how do you deal with losing? Because even though you're one of the best doing it right now, you have to understand that you will lose. And as an athlete, you're expected to come back and play again because, like Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. But in playing to win the game, sometimes you're going to lose.
I love you, baby.
You understand what I'm saying? So before sharing my thoughts with many people, before going into the details, I'm like, bruh, I'm starting to second guess what we have going on here because I'm never going to tell a human being, an individual, not to. Let me take that back. Yeah, no. I'll never tell somebody not to protect their peace, not to make the best decision for their mental health. But at the same time, I can totally disagree with somebody making a decision for their mental health and not making a decision that may work best for them in that moment and putting their mental health on the back burner. Because we're currently living in a society where your mental health is being we're preaching that mental health comes first. But my argument is that with any decision that you make, with any career that you pursue, there is an inherent risk that comes with that. Some careers risk your physical health. Others risk your mental health, and others put you in some place of like balance because it's not really risking that much, or there's a nice healthy balance between what it's risking and what it's not because of the pressure levels required. And then I say, for better or for worse, you need to understand the risk that you're taking when it comes to pursuing those careers. So I look at somebody like a Naomi Osaka who is the pressure is eating her up. And as a human being, I'm very, very, very sympathetic to that. I go, dang, that's unfortunate, young queen. If that pressure is eating you up, do what you need to do to relieve that pressure, okay? Because I'm not gonna say, hey, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, hey, keep doing something that's not bringing you comfort, right? But then when she gets thrown in the GOAT conversations, like, oh, she's a GOAT. Well, no, she's not Serena, so stop it. Right. Or she gets compared to Tom Brady. And I go, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not gonna make that comparison because part of being a GOAT in your industry is accepting the lifestyle that comes with it and overcoming. And and my fear is that in this mental health first, protect your peace first society that we're going towards, we're not telling people that, hey, you're going to be uncomfortable pursuing this goal. And if you want to achieve this goal, then you may not have the balance that you desire, or that somebody who's working at your dental hygienist is having at your local dentist office every day, because you are achieving greatness. And guess what? When you are striving for greatness and you're also doing it in the public eye, you open yourself up to way more scrutiny. That's just the nature of it. I'm not saying that it's fair. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just telling you that's what comes with it. If you want to go work on an oil rig, or you want to go work in a diamond mine, guess what? You run the risk of getting severely injured, right? If you decide that you want to be a professional football player, you run the risk of traumatic brain injuries because you're getting hit in your head, right? If you decide you want to join the military, you run the risk of losing your life in combat because you joined an organization that is a war-fighting organization for your country. You understand that? So for the professional athletes who don't like the scrutiny that comes with the fame and the fortune that they receive, I need you to understand that that is part of your career. That is part of the job that you do. That is in your, if you had a job description, right? That is going to be there. So here's what I want you to understand. I want you to make decisions, right? I want you to make decisions to best help yourself to learn how to live in the public eye. And I'm not saying that it's fair. Right, there are some really talented salesmen who never have to deal with public scrutiny. But we have really talented runners. We have really talented basketball players. We have really talented football players. We have really talented tennis stars who have to deal with a level of public scrutiny that is unfair to them, but it comes with their job. And here's the thing about the best of the best. They get through it. They get through it. They push through it. And if you want to be the best of the best, you're going to have to get through it.
We ballin', big baby.
And I'm not saying that's what's fair. I'm not saying that's what's right, because I understand the person in the jeans, the person in the shorts, the person in the tennis onesie, the person in the singlet, the person in the leotard, the person in whatever the case may be, the individual may not want to deal with the life of the athlete. But here's what I'll tell you. Find something else to do. Nobody is entitled to a career just because they're good at it, right? Think about how many, like we're saying athletes. Think about how many athletes you know who were highly skilled, but they didn't have the grades, or they didn't have the drive to get them there, right? And think about the people that you know who worked hard, but they didn't have the skills, but they got to where they wanted to be because of their work ethic, because of their sacrifices. Understand that nobody is entitled to anything. So if you go into it with that mindset, I think we'll have a better understanding of an individual like a Kyrie Irving who says, "Hey, bro, sometimes I need to take time away." Kevin Durant, who's like, "Man, I just want to play ball, bro. I don't want to do all the extra." And Naomi Osaka, who's like, "When I win, I feel relieved. When I lose, I feel devastated." She's not even feeling the highs of being great. Like, winning gets her to manageable. Losing puts her below, and that's unfortunate, right? And I think part of that is because of this wins culture that we live in. Don't get me wrong. Be hyper competitive. Try to win. Want to win. Want to be the best, but at the same time, understand that losing is a thing and losing is part of it. Temper your expectations. Set your own standards, and know that if you're reaching your standard, it doesn't matter what the outside world thinks, because you're reaching your standard. Now, it's easy to say that from my point of view because nobody's criticizing me every time I put out a podcast. Understand there's going to be outside noise, but hey, once you understand that there's going to be outside noise, I think part of developing your mental health is finding ways to survive in an environment that's uncomfortable. So often we talk about escaping the uncomfortable environment, but that's not always a reality. We have to learn how to operate in that uncomfortable environment because we don't know if we're going to be stuck in that environment longer than we want to be. Because when we talk about the Naomi Osakas of the world, we talk about the Kyrie Irvings of the world, we talk about the Kevin Durant's of the world, right? They can take a step back from what they do because they're so great at it that if they just take time off, they'll be welcome right back. I'm not counting their pockets, but three of them have made a lot of money. A lot of money. And because they've made a lot of money, maybe they've set themselves up to not have to be reliant upon that skill in order to keep their lights on and to continue living the life that they choose to live. But some of us deal with these same problems and we don't have that same, we're not afforded those same luxuries because guess what? We're not in an industry that pays that well. And for most of us, we're not that good at what we do. So we don't have that type of leverage. So I say all of that to say to be careful when you see these and be careful when you champion it because understand that when you're a 1%er, you can do a lot of things that the rest of us in the 99% can't do. Okay, and let me get back to this Naomi Osaka thing, right? Because I really think it's an interesting conversation to have because look here, I'm not here to tell her not to do that, right? Not at all. Like, hey, queen, do what you do what makes you happy. But then when I see this, I ask, like, do you really love playing tennis? Do you love it or do you do it, right? Like, has it put you in a place to become a celebrity to make money and you kind of enjoy playing tennis, but do you actually love it or do you just do it? Because I look at someone like Tom Brady. Tom Brady loves the process. He doesn't drink during the season. He loves film study. He loves practice walkthroughs, all of the stuff that a lot of people don't really care for. They care about game day. And Tom Brady is like, yeah, bro, game day is the cherry on top, man. I love the process. When you talk and you hear him talk about playing the 45, playing the 50, why? It's because he loves the process. You talk about LeBron James who wants to play basketball with his son. You know, when he hears y'all talking crazy about him not being who he is, he gets in a lab and he locks in. Why? Because he loves the process. He's just not playing basketball. He loves it. And then I look at Naomi Osaka and I go, well, do you really love tennis? Because let me see if I can find the quote which led me to believe that she wants to retire. Let me see. She goes, I feel like recently when I win, I don't feel happy. I feel more like relief. And when I lose, I feel very sad. I don't think it's normal. It's not. And she goes on to say, I feel like I'm kind of at this point where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. And I honestly don't know when I'm going to play my next tennis match. Sorry. I think I'm going to take a break from playing for a while, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with taking a break when you're in a position to be able to take a break. But what I'll say here is maybe you don't love tennis. Maybe you were thrown into this because in order to be where she is at her age, she's 23 years old. We've known about her for a few years and she's one of the best tennis players in the world. In order to get that, you had to be groomed for this as a young child. And maybe because of that, she was not able to figure out what she likes, what she wants to do, what fulfills her because tennis was what was thrown at her. And I can understand that when your parents throw something at you and they tell you to like work at it and be good at it, that you trust them and so you do it. But once you get a little bit older and you start to develop your own thought processes, your own patterns, your own hobbies, your own interests, your own life, you become your own person. You go, bruh, I don't even want to do this no more. I mean, I'm good at it and I can continue to do it, but I don't really want to do this. Like, I really don't want to play tennis. I don't like these people that I'm playing against. I don't like these people around me. I don't like how y'all be talking about every little thing that I do. Like, I just ain't, this ain't for me no more. And I think that could be a key contributing factor. But like when I say that, and I say that maybe Naomi should just stop playing tennis. It's not a knock. Now you can never be the greatest tennis player alive if you choose to walk away at this point. But that's okay. You don't have to be. And I think so much stuff gets missed when we decide to not separate the athlete from the person, right? Like I tell y'all all the time, I can separate the art from the artist. I've been doing this for years, and it kind of started with all of the Bill Cosby and the R. Kelly issues. Like, don't get me wrong, I do not support anything that those men have done to mistreat women. I don't support that at all, or allegedly done to mistreat women, because I don't know for sure that it actually happened. No convictions, right? But here's what I can tell you: the art that those guys put out is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Like hearing R. Kelly sing the songs that he's written, the way his voice hits, there's nothing else like it. And as much as you can hate what he's done or what he quote unquote stands for, I can still say that, hey, his music is great. And then you look at a Bill Cosby like, oh, Jello pudding pops. Like what Bill Cosby did as an actor, as a comedian, what the Cosby Show, the way he said, you know what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna be a struggling black family. We're gonna be a prominent black family. We're going to look different from the norm, right? We're going to be a lawyer doctor combo, and our kids are going to go to what? One went to NYU, a couple went to Hillman, like a top HBCU type thing, right? Shout out to Morehouse where I went, right? That's what they did. And then even with the different world, he was like, okay, so this Hillman College that we made up, we're going to take y'all into what this is to show people HBCU life. I can't forget that. If Bill Cosby was a creep, if he did things to women that he shouldn't have been doing, that's absolutely wrong, and I can't support that. But at the same time, I can separate the good that he's done and what that's done for America and how that's advanced black people from the awful things he did to those women. I can separate that. Just like I can separate a Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, from Naomi Osaka, the person. Here, I have no vested interest. I have no commentary on Naomi Osaka, the individual, right? But as somebody who wants to comment on what happens in sports, I can tell you that when we watch these tournaments, we expect to see the best of the best there. And maybe that's an expectation that fans shouldn't levy on athletes. Maybe that's a sense of entitlement that we have as fans, that we want to see the best of the best. Maybe that is. But when I say as a fan, like, or as even a commentator, hey, yes, I want to see you play. I want to see Naomi Osaka see Serena Williams in the semifinals or in the finals. Yes, I want to see that because they're two of the best that tennis has to offer. But if Naomi or Serena says, hey, I'm not in a space to be the best tennis player that I can be, so I can't play in this tournament, Adam goes, okay, you got it. I understand. And who the hell am I to tell you to show up and play? I'm nobody. But I want to see you. But I want you to know that if you want to be the best, even when your head's not right, we expect you to be there, and you have to be the best when your head ain't right, because sometimes that's your escape. That's the escape. And here's the thing that concerns me about this walk away culture that we're trying to build. is that, for one, do you know what you're walking away from, and do you know that if you walk away from that, you're going to lose something? You never know, because sometimes staying too long does the same exact thing. I get that. But how many lessons have we learned from enduring tough times? And what I I just want you all to grab from this is sometimes tough stuff happens. And it's okay for tough stuff to happen, but you have to learn how to operate amongst the tough stuff, right? You can't just be like, "Oh man, the roles are tough, man. My mental health ain't great. Let me quit." No. One of the ways that you can actually make your mental health better, not better. Ooh, my left. The one of the ways you can make your mental health better, the one of the ways that you can increase your mental health is by challenging your mental health, right? Just like the way you get faster is by running more and running faster for longer times, right? Same thing with your mental health. You have to put yourself in, not put yourself. Sometimes when you're put in uncomfortable situations, you have to like work through those things so that you can develop those calluses and you can like fall back on your lowest level of completion, right? One of the biggest lessons I learned was people don't rise to occasions, they fall back to their lowest level of training. So if I can increase the floor of what I've been through and what I know, then I promise you that that helps me when those things hit again, right? Because at sometimes we can't just run from our problems, we have to face them head on. And again, I'm not saying that Naomi is running from her problems. I'm looking at it from a holistic point of view, whereas that once discomfort arises, we step away from it. Sometimes stepping away is the right thing. And other times fighting through is the right thing. But you never know until you actually do it. But long story short, for those of you who are like ridiculing Naomi, like leave her alone, let her give up, like let her live. Excuse me, she's doing what's best for Naomi. And I hope that she finds what she's looking for. I hope she finds what she wants to do with her life. And if it's playing tennis, come on back to the tour and kick ass. But if not, go do what it is that you want to do, what's important to you, and go kick ass there. My next one, more money, more problems, baby. Akon, Akon and Young Jesus, and trying to take it easy. Only way to go. And so, but anyways, Akon came out and actually, I'm gonna play Acorn's quote for y'all because I would rather y'all hear it from his mouth than hear it from my mouth. Let me see if I can find it real quick because I think it's an interesting conversation point. Here we go.
No, dude, the famous and the rich go through more issues than the poor. When they say more money, more problems, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. So we got to check up on each other, man. Make sure everybody's sound. State of mind is intact, family's good, and figure it out. Me personally, I would advise anyone who's on any kind of drugs of that nature, man, to just let it go. There's other ways to cope with issues and challenges in your life besides drugs and alcohol.
And can I just ask, since you said that you've always been.
So here's the one thing I didn't like about this post, right? It's Hollywood Unlocked. They had a TMZ interview of Akon, and the headline is Akon, Michael K. Williams' death proves rich and famous struggle more than the poor. Maybe, and I'm not gonna say the rich struggle more than the poor, or the poor struggle more than the rich. It's just that we all have different struggles. I'll never say that my struggle is worse than somebody else's because guess what? My ability to deal with my struggle may be different from their ability to deal with their struggle because I don't know what they've been through. They don't know what I've been through. So who am I to say that, hey, your struggle is any more or less than mine, right? So that's one of my issues. That's my issue with the headline, but that's also my issue with Akon. Like, hey, yeah, you sound real nice with your money, your nice stuff, and to say, oh, well, the rich go through more than the poor. Hey, bro, it's poor people ODing too. It's poor people getting bad dope, right? Because allegedly Michael K. Williams overdosed. We don't know for sure if that's what happened based on the research that I've done. And I'm not going to get into that because I think the conversation around some of this stuff, even if it's necessary, it's disgusting. The day that somebody dies from either overdosing or getting some bad drugs, I don't want to hear you saying, well, you shouldn't have been using the drugs anyway. You shouldn't be doing it. All right, yeah, maybe you're right. But we all have different vices. We all have things that we do that we probably shouldn't do. How about you get off your high horse, okay, and just have a little bit of empathy for the person, right? You think the person, you think the person just went out and said, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do something that's gonna kill me, and I'm gonna try to die." No, most of us don't do that. We always want to control these things, but let's think about driving. Let's think about how risky driving is and how many car accidents there are a day, a year, and how many fatalities there are there. But you still drive because you like the odds, right? Same, boss. But back to Akon and his quote. I don't even know if it's wrong because the song is "More Money, More Problems." Coming. Oh, I'm coming. All of that. From Biggie and them, right? And and I think money amplifies a lot of your problems, but I don't think they exist. I look at myself now and the issues that I have versus the issues that I had when I had less money, and I look at my fucking white collar problems and I go, this is first world issues. Like, I mean, it's stressful, but it's not figuring out how I'm gonna eat. I think it's important for the people who live in the first world problem place to go get therapy, to go get help, because like your problems aren't life or death. Your problems aren't sleep inside or sleep outside. Your problems are actually a lot less, but the pressure in which you're under, I could say could be more, right? Like your end state is not nearly as detrimental or as serious as those who have a lot less than you, but the way in which it makes you feel may be different. And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, man. You have to like create those calluses. You have to work hard because that's how you become comfortable dealing with that. You have to find some discomfort. And I think that, excuse me, this quote and even what I was talking about earlier with how we walk away from things when it's difficult takes me it's all tied to the helicopter parent generation of I want to protect you, my child. I want to protect myself from bad things. But guess what? When you go through those bad things, you learn like important life lessons that make you a better human being, and that helps you learn how to deal with these things when it actually comes up. So, Akon, for one, optically, what you said is terrible, especially as somebody who's a philanthropist who donates to a lot of things. You made it seem as if you don't really care about those people. You just go, yeah, I throw my money at this so I don't have to pay this shit in taxes. But I'm really not invested with the people who are on the ground, because I think that if you listen to the people on the ground who are going through these things, I think it changes your perspective. I think it changes your perspective. And that's why I tell y'all all the time, you got to stop listening to these rich people because they live in their own little rich world and they don't understand our struggles, our everyday middle class to working class struggles. And maybe they came from it, but they're not there anymore. So yes, there are more money, more problems. But when you ain't got no money, you got a lot of problems too.